lasting. You've been in the playoffs every year. You've been in the World Series 6 years. You've won 4 World Series. And those last couple of years, although you made the playoffs every year, they were grinding years. Players getting old, players leaving, a lot of issues. And then you finally depart. What do you want to say about how that unfolded?
Well, to me, because of being in the World Series as often as we were in the World Series, and I found myself in spring training, when you're with the Yankees guys, it's not good enough to get to the World Series, you've got to win the World Series. And Donnie Mattingly and I, when he came on as a coach, we talked about that. And I remember the one spring I started saying, guys, last year we won as many games as anybody, and we didn't get out of the first round. We lost the first round. I can't see I'm disappointed. I mean, you guys played hard, you battled back. You get in the short series, it's a crapshoot. And it was very hard for me to say that it was a failure because we didn't get beyond that, because I know how hard these guys worked. And I think a lot of it was the pressure that and that was put on me to do that. And I think the players at times were trying too hard. And again, we weren't good enough. We didn't have good enough pitching.
The pitching wasn't as good as it was in the 90s. The depth in the bullpen wasn't there.
And when you look at the Detroit, we win the first game with Wong. And then the second game, we had a lead halfway through the game. And then, Granderson hits a home run, and, we never saw the light of day.
Were those last years unpleasant years?
It was very tough. I remember even when we win games, Donnie would come in and say, "You don't look happy." I said, "Well, it's tough. It's tough because I think the time I spent here and the expectations, and not only what other people expect, but what I expect, I just got stressed out, and it just didn't feel good."
Would you do anything differently about how you guys parted ways? If you could go back, would you do it differently, or would you do it the same way?
I don't know. I don't think either one of us knew how to say goodbye, to be honest with you. And I don't know what would have been the right. I never, I was enjoying myself. We had success. I wanted to stay. The last contract that I signed with the Yankees, I wanted to. I remember after I think 1 year, that's when George and I sort of disconnected. My wife Allie said, "Why don't you just go down and talk to him?" Because I wasn't sure if he wanted me to manage or not. And I went down to see him. I sat in his office for 5 minutes. He said he did. I got on the plane and came home, and I felt good about it. And then, that year, then the next year, we waited until my press conference before George called and said, "I want you to manage this year." And that was the last year of my contract. It was stressful, and I'm not sure the Yankees knew exactly what to do with me, and I really didn't know how to move on from what I was doing. The reason I accepted the job in LA is because I just felt that I wanted to see if it was funny.
Did the LA success mean a lot to you?
It meant a lot to me because I enjoyed it again. And, the fact that, went out there and went back in the National League where I played my whole career, and to, get in the playoffs 2 years and beat 2 impressive clubs in the first round. I think that was the most important thing for me, Mike, was getting to the championship series, even though I thought in 2009, which certainly would have been ironic and would have been the cherry on top for me, but I thought we beat the Phillies. We win Game 4, we beat the Phillies. And
you wanted to play the Yankees?
I said, "Guys, you got to come back from this." I said, "I'll take all the crap that goes with going to New York and playing these guys." I said, you have to do the work. But I thought we were capable. I'm not saying we were capable of beating the Yankees, but we were capable with the lead in the 9th inning in Game 4 of beating the Phillies because we had the home field advantage.
I'm going to, in a minute, we'll call up for some questions. I've left you plenty of stuff to talk about. But before we do that, just give me a quick thought on these personalities that have been such a part of this run as you were. George Steinbrenner, how do you describe George?
George used to say to me, I don't want you to call me because you have a habit of talking me into things. And I didn't realize that, but I was happy about that. I thought George had a big heart. I remember he used to put a great deal of pressure on you all the time. He drove you. He drove you. It wasn't unfair. It was unfair a lot of times, but he wanted to win, and I think that permeated the air. Everybody felt that. And I remember losing 2 straight games to the Mets, and I get a call on a Sunday morning, and you think he's going to shoot your rear end out, and he's saying, "Hey, buddy, I'm with you. Just hang in there." He had a good heart, and it was great working for him because he cared a lot.
Did you ever have a really bad argument with George Lemon?
Yeah, just the one, that Easter sunrise ceremony there in Minnesota when we were, I think it was Contreras or whoever it was that, I was under the assumption that we were sending him to AAA, and all of a sudden he was sending him to Tampa. And, it was embarrassing. And then again, George is the boss, but it was something that we all agreed on, and all of a sudden it came out of left field that he was doing something else.
Don Zimmer.
Zim was, he really made me a winning manager because he made me take chances that I didn't take before, because he shot from the hip.
Nice compliment.
Yeah, I mean, he was, I hired him as a coach and he became a friend.
You didn't really know Zimmer before you.
No, a lot of times you hire friends as coaches, but I hired him as a coach and he became a friend. And it was, I had trouble saying no to him early on because I didn't want him to take it the wrong way, and then I didn't really give a crap.
Bernie Williams.
Bernie Williams was my favorite. Bernie had a root canal or something. He had a real tooth problem in spring training. He's laying on my couch. I said, "Just lay there, Bernie." I said, "Until you have to go for your dental appointment during the spring." And so he gets up when it's time to go, and he starts walking out the door. And I said, "Bernie, you got to be careful. Guys don't see you in here because they may think you're my favorite." He says, "They already know that." I loved him. I told Bernie one day that he was a leader on this club, and you thought I shocked him with an electric shock or something. He didn't believe that. I said, "Bernie, you go out and play every day." And that's the kind of leader you are. He did not have baseball instincts. That's why with all his speed, he could never steal bases. He had no instincts.
Terrible base runner. Oh.
Yeah, he just, it was
Well, what a clutch
like
hitter.
he was on satellite delay,
He was the worst base runner.
But a clutch hitter.
Great clutch hitter.
He's a remarkable young man, and I love him to death. And he was really a pleasure. Donnie gave him the name Bambi, and that was a good one for him.
Paul O'Neill.
Paul O'Neill, George called him a warrior, and when I first took the job in '96, I was told how selfish he was. I said, "All right, we'll find out." And I realized the selfishness was about getting a hit every time up. I didn't think there was anything wrong with it. Great team player, passionate person, and he never felt he was good enough, never blamed an umpire for anything. He was really the heart of this ball club for the years he was here.
Roger Clemens.
Roger was like a little boy, and I still feel badly what he's going through now. And he sat there in front of Congress, and I guarantee you, when he was talking, whether it was true or not, he was believing it was true, because that's Roger. And I feel badly. He's a Hall of Famer, and it doesn't appear he's going to get there. But he was a little boy. I hated him when we competed
Was
against
Clemens
him.
selfish?
I think pitchers are allowed to be selfish. I remember early on, he was talking to his mom on the phone in my office, and he was talking about fitting in. I said, "Roger, I don't want you to fit in. I want you to go out there and do what you do. You do intimidate," because pitchers are a little bit different than everyday players. And he was very timid early on, and then once he took hold, he was the guy I knew. But he was a lot different than when we got him as a player than I thought he was before we got him.
Andy Pettit.
Andy Pettit